say life through rhythm. Life is like the little things we do every day, the rhythms that we have, the thoughts we think, the words we speak, the little actions that we do. But rhythm also is drumming, and the power that drumming has, and it's awesome. And obviously, we're both in love with
insane about
drumming, and we're insane and obsessed with it. So how did these challenges and experiences translate to your drumming? Because one thing I remember, remember that story Jim Blackley told, like with Elvin Jones, and he headbutted his saxophone player in his band because he's like, that's the feeling of a truck hitting you after this gig.
Yeah.
And I want you to play like it's your last night on earth ever. Like, again, keeping your death close, right? Like if
Sure.
Yeah, so was there any, did it do anything for your drumming, like in any kind of immediacy or?
Well, that's interesting you mentioned that. And you've probably felt this from the playing you've done, man, is that, well, first of all, I noticed this when I started to play with what I consider high-level musicians. You know, the first gig I remember was with this African master, Ganawa, and from Morocco, North Africa. He plays the santir, spelled Sintir. It's sort of a 3-string bass, and his name is Hassan Hakmoun.
Oh, you showed me that CD. That's on Peter Gabriel's.
That's right. And we were, lucky enough to open up for Peter and be part of WOMAD and
Woodstock, right?
Yeah, I played Woodstock '94,
which is probably on YouTube.
It is. Yeah, you'll find that, and it was awesome. But Hassan was one of the first really high-level musicians that I played with. And he was not just a great musician, but an acrobat as well. At the time when he was younger, so we're playing the gig, and the thing is slamming, and getting to that energy you're talking about, we're kind of climbing up to it. And it's very hard to put that energy and with rhythm and music, it all kind of comes together. And a flow, like we talked about earlier today, man. And this flow, this zone that you reach, that is, again, very difficult to put into English or any other language. But it is something that people recognize once you're there. Yep. And we were climbing up to it, and I just met Hassan, and I could feel this sensation that it's like, the best I can describe is like nothing can go wrong. Nothing can go wrong,
flow.
And you're somewhat out of your body, and you're almost you're almost part of the audience for a moment, but you're not, because you're at work. You're locked into the groove and making it happen. But you kind of leave this notion of making it happen, and you're part of something happening. And right at that moment, I'm on a like a 3-foot riser, 4-foot riser. So the drums in, so my head is probably at about 8 feet, maybe 9 feet, but where my eyes are above the stage. And all of a sudden, all I see is Hassan turn to me, and he jumps up in a split, playing, and then looks at me with this big grin on his face. We looked directly in the eyes, and I was like, that's it. It's like ping.
On drums, all the way from Jamaica, Aubrey Dayle.
Hope he sees this, because he used to do it all the time. He would do a flip and then wink at me in midair, stuff like that. He was a trip. The song was a trip. He is a trip. He's still a master. He's still out there at a high level. Hassan Hakmoun, check him out. And my man. But that energy, and then after that, I realized what we really have to strive for in playing. It's not being right or correct. Getting the notes will
Notes
come.
are overrated.
They'll show up, they'll be there. That's not why we're playing. We're trying to express something. We're trying to get not only you in that place, but the whole audience. not when you're really successful, you're able to do that on a recording.
Yeah.
So people can experience over and over again. That's really special.